You've heard us at the Gathering Spot talk about any election. You've heard us say very consistently, we believe that you are being derelict of duty in moments like this if you don't show up. So thank you for showing up. I'm going to get out of the way. You'll see a QR code on the screen throughout the conversation that asks for questions. I'll do my best to get to as many questions as possible. That's my only ask this evening. Please join me in welcoming our next governor. Our next governor. Our next governor. That's way too... Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. Okay.
Wow.
It's good to see you.
Woo, it's a packed house in here. Thank you all for coming, and thank you, Ryan and TK, and just to the entire Gathering Spot community for this.
We appreciate you sincerely. We know that you're busy all over the state. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Before we get into the work, though, how are you? How are you doing? We've got 99 days. You've been hustling. How are you doing?
Somebody on Instagram said I look tired. I'm like, you think? Like, this is a really big state. It's, you know what? I'm great, Ryan. I mean, I feel great personally. I feel good about our campaign. I'm going to feel great when we win.
So you went to what I want this conversation to be about tonight, which is how we win, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about what's at stake,
Yeah.
and then how we win. To do that in the order of operations, though, that makes sense. When you think about why you got into this race, why are you running to be Georgia's next governor? Why are you in this race?
For me, it was a very personal decision. The day after the presidential election, I prayed. I mean, I cursed and then I prayed just about what I would be called to do in this season. And I did not think that I would be getting back into politics at this time. I always said maybe one day, but it was really about what am I called to do? What can I offer, and is it worth me getting out of my comfort zone? Because life was comfortable. And the answer was yes, absolutely yes. And two of my 4 kids are here, my husband's here, and it was a lot of conversations with them, because when you run for office, it's not just something you are doing alone. You take your whole family with you. You take your whole village with you. Everybody has to absorb a lot. But for me, I want to be able to look my kids in their faces and say, in this moment, I did everything that I could do on behalf of us.
Yeah, you're going all over the state right now, and you've been listening to Georgians for a long time. You've been in public service, public life for a long time. What are the most important issues of this particular moment? What are you hearing people talk about the most?
Everywhere I go, people are talking about the cost of living, how expensive everything is. People are talking about the cost of groceries, the cost of gas, the cost of housing. Now we are adding health care to that, which has already been an issue. But for those of you all who may be self-employed or own your own businesses, you all probably know this. Since January and the big ugly bill, healthcare costs went up across the board. 500,000 people in this state dropped their health care. They have dropped it since January. So that's the #1 issue. The other big one, I hear this especially when I'm in conversation with young people, access to mental health support and services is one that comes up quite a bit. Education, we've not fully funded education in the state of Georgia. literally the last time we did it, I was in the marching band at Frederick Douglass High School, and our halftime show was Dougie Fresh, and I am not exaggerating. It was 1985. Last time we fully funded education in this state. So there are these issues that have just been generation-long issues that we haven't fulfilled our mandate and our promises as a state, and they're coming up everywhere that I go.
You used the word that we've kind of framed this conversation around mandate. And y'all, it was a mandate. Sisters, we're glad that y'all are here too. But there's a particular focus that we've been trying to have here at TGS around engaging men, and black men specifically. So I'm gonna ask that same question framed around what are you hearing black men specifically talk about that may be the same or different than what you hear everyone across the state discussing with you?
So it's interesting. I was asking my husband about this, and I'm a mother of 4, 3 sons. And so the things that I hear them talk about are the things, I say my kitchen is my best focus group, because I listen to my 24-year-old son, those things that they're concerned about. They're concerned that there won't be any jobs, that even their college degrees aren't worth the paper that they're printed on. Of course, they're concerned about interaction with public safety. They are concerned about whether or not they'll be able to afford a home, even if they've not been incarcerated. They are concerned that one encounter that goes wrong, that they could be incarcerated. They are concerned. Mental health is a big conversation. So I can't say that it's different, but I know as a mother of black sons and as a wife that it hits differently.
Yeah, I mean, it's been concerning to me because, I mean, I'm around black folks every day in Atlanta. And I spend time in community with a lot of black men, right? And they're talking about the same things that everybody else is talking about.
Support for small businesses.
Absolutely. Yet, for some reason, there's this narrative that starts to emerge that we may be less engaged or less interested in your particular race or just in politics overall. When you hear that, what do you think about when you hear that narrative? As you're answering this question, I'm gonna put on my scarf.
I think I like that. I've never seen that before. Okay.
We're supportive. I had to make sure it's.
No.
You can't learn how to do that flip every.
I will not be wearing that, but I like that on you, Ryan.
No, it's me. I got it.
You know, I think it's an unfair burden for black men to have to carry. This democracy is about all of us. It should matter to all of us. We all have a part to play. So when I hear people say that black men aren't engaged, I'm just concerned about all of us not being engaged, about us choosing the couch. And I talk about my 24-year-old a lot when he's not in the room, so I'm gonna talk about him while he's in the room. But when I look at he and his friends, like, what is their motivation? What makes them interested in voting? And I don't think it's just them as young black men. I think it's for everybody. We were in a barbershop in Valdosta, and the guy asked a very legitimate question. What difference is this gonna make to me? And then not asking as a black man, asking as a part of a community that's often felt forgotten and overlooked, and quite frankly, used at election time.
I think we've been seeing a little bit about that. So for those that are not aware of the dynamics of this race, who are you running against? Who's on the other side of, what is the other option that folks have when they will pull their ballot in November?
He's a gazillionaire, not a billionaire, he's a gazillionaire named Rick Jackson. He put in maybe roughly $110 million during the primary of his own money. I understand today 87 million was put into TV alone. So when you all say you don't see my commercials on TV, no, I didn't spend 87 million on TV today. So it's likely you may see his ads a little more than you see mine, but we've always been used to doing a lot with a little. So I'm not worried about it, but it is, I said to my family today, y'all might as well turn off the TV. Like, don't even look, because we know that the onslaught is coming. This guy got a $1 billion no bid contract from the state of Georgia for his health care company, and he does not want to expand Medicaid in this state. This is a guy who says, I will be Trump with a Southern tone. He can't think of a single policy that he disagrees with Trump on. He said that women should have to prove, or he agrees that women should have to prove they've been raped to access an abortion. I mean, the list goes on. He is as far right as you can be. He is completely aligned with Trump, says he wants to be his favorite governor. All the things that we don't need in Georgia.
Is it fair to say that given just his wealth, right? You mentioned the amount of money that he's putting into the race. Is it fair to say that part of the litmus test of this particular race is that we, the people, us, are going to have to continue to demonstrate that our government cannot be bought, right? Because I'll speak for myself, that's what it feels like a lot of times in this race. This is unlike Trump in that Trump was known, he was a figure that people knew. If you talk to Republicans, nobody knew who this guy was, like very recently.
Yeah.
So again, like the idea of like, how do we get folks to understand that like there are a ton of issues, and we're gonna keep talking about the issues that are important to Georgians, but just that dynamic is also really important, at least to me, right? That like we just can't have people in our politics that can show up and buy the thing.
You know, Ryan, I'm not mad about him being a billionaire. Maybe one day God will see fit to make me a billionaire. So I'm not mad about his money. What I am mad about is the way that he is manipulating the narrative with his money. We can have a race and you not lie on my name, and you not distort the truth, and you not share propaganda, which is essentially is what he's doing. And for everybody who is taking money from him, God bless you. A good friend of mine who's probably in this room often reminds me, if you can be bought, you can be sold. So, you know, this guy doesn't mean a lot of people well. And that would probably be a lot of people in his room based on the policies that he agrees with Donald Trump on.
I want to switch gears and talk about what folks should, I would argue, absolutely can, right, but should be doing. How can we support the campaign? What is the best way to contribute to the effort?
You can sign up to volunteer. You can, and I say it's important for everybody to put their oxygen mask on first. For some people, it may be you only have energy to show up and vote. That may be the absolute most you can do. For other people, it may be calling or texting 10 people in your phone saying, hey, check your voter registration. Hey, are you registered to vote? Did you show up to vote? Then some people may want to phone bank. We have a lot of volunteers in here who show up in phone bank. My son and his friends have been working on the campaign. You'll see people knocking on doors. Whatever it is you have the capacity to do it. I just ask for all of you all to be our trusted megaphones, because there's going to be so much information and disinformation that you are our trusted voices. It's like a college student said to me in Albany, he said, Miss Keisha, we don't know what to believe. We get so much information, we don't know what's true and what's not. People will listen to their neighbor before they're going to listen to me, Dr. Durley. Trusted voices. Just be our trusted voices.
I hesitated to ask you this, but I think it's important. I don't want to give too much light to this, but you mentioned some of the personal attacks, right, and some of the things that people in this room will be hearing about you. Not to dwell on them, right, but to just engage them enough so that the folks have the real information. Let's talk about a couple of them.
Yeah.
One of the ones that comes up that at least I've seen him try to frame is about your time as mayor of the city.
Yeah.
What actually happened while you were mayor of Atlanta?
Let me just take you back a little bit, Ryan. I know you've heard me share my family's story for people who may not know it. Not very far from here is Elm Street. It is where my family came to Atlanta literally in a horse and buggy in the 1920s. They came from Crawfordville, Georgia. My family can be traced to a plantation in Crawfordville, Georgia, at least 5 generations back in this state. My grandfather started a business with a horse and buggy that would go uptown, which is what we now call downtown, and he would haul trash and paper from businesses in communities or businesses uptown. That allowed him to hire men in his community, men in this community that's now known as Vine City English Avenue. So when I ran for mayor of Atlanta, I'd been a judge, an attorney on city council for 8 years. It was the highest honor for me to serve as mayor. And I served every single day of the term that I was elected to serve as mayor. I was asked 3 times to join the cabinet of President Joe Biden, and I said no, because I wanted to complete my term. And so, you know, I remember somebody said to me, well, nobody turns down a president. I said, well, I never knew a president, so I didn't know you couldn't say no to a president. But I was committed to serving the term that I had been elected. When I made the decision not to run for mayor again, it was from a position of strength. We had closed the Gulch Centennial Yards, largest public-private partnership that's happening in the United States today. Of that, we had created affordable housing units. We set aside money for an affordable housing trust fund. We had created a child savings account for all of our public school kids, 38% minority ownership and participation, minority and women ownership and participation. That had never been done before in this city. 4 years of balanced budgets, $180 million left in the bank. We didn't lay off a single employee. We didn't furlough a single employee during COVID. Not only were we giving our public safety people $500 a month because they were still showing up every day, but if you were picking up our trash, you got $500 a month in hazard pay. Not that that was nearly enough to put your lives on the line, but there were men and women who were doing it. We also got our employees up to $15 an hour. At that time, it's a fight for 15. So I could sit here for an hour and tell you about the things that we accomplished and the things that made me proud. So when I hear this guy, and when I hear people say I abandoned Atlanta, it pisses me off. And the reason being, you don't get more Atlanta than I am. I still live in the same house in Southwest Atlanta, which is why I don't feel the need to advertise every time I walk into a black business, because I support black businesses multiple times a week, and it's not a campaign stop, it is what I do. I would never, I can't abandon Atlanta. I am Atlanta. I'm Atlanta through and through. When I went to the White House, I advocated on behalf of Atlanta. We got millions and millions of dollars in this state from the Biden-Harris administration. We supported small businesses. So all of that to say what you want about me, but don't lie on my name. So when you go back to this guy who I'm running against, he's using his money to lie on my name. And what frustrates me is the perpetuation of the narrative. Like, if we want elected officials to serve 8 years, 16 years, 24 years, whatever the term was, I would have served it until the last hour, the last minute, the last second of that day, which is what I did.
I want to go back to talking about black men specifically. You mentioned the Biden administration immediately after we had an election in 24. And there was a narrative, right, and some data, right, that suggested black men didn't engage. We certainly weren't the 92%. What do you say to black men that did not vote for Vice President Harris in the last race, and why they need to, if they're Georgians, why they need to engage in this race?
Every election is a different election with usually a different set of candidates. I don't know, I can't speak to the reasons people chose not to vote, whether you are man or woman or whatever, whomever you may be, but I can tell you why you should support me. And in supporting me, you are supporting all of us across this state. Because I'm not running just to appease a man in the White House. I'm running because I want to be able to make decisions that make lives better. In the same way decisions were made 5 generations ago that allowed me to sit on this stage with you, those are the decisions I want to be able to make. Whether it's supporting our families, addressing the affordability issue, whether it is creating a pathway to free technical and community college, whether if someone has been incarcerated, if it's a nonviolent offender, finding a way that they can have a meaningful and successful transition back into our communities. Those are the things that matter to me. And it is not for some, it's for everybody who wants somebody to go and fight on their behalf.
Everyone, as we continue to, you see this questions piece, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at your questions and trying to incorporate as many of them as possible into our discussion. One question that did come in, and it's we talked about Atlanta, right? But if you look at the rest of the state, and particularly like rural Georgia, what conversation do we need to be highlighting there? Like what industry, like how do we attract and retain industry in rural Georgia? How do we make sure that the rest of the state is included in this conversation when we talk about just the overall economic prosperity that needs to be created here?
When you go into communities outside Atlanta, some communities, I don't mean go through them, driving through 75, 85. I mean when you go into them, some of our communities look as if you have gone into a time machine. It looks as if time has forgotten them. Part of it is because many industries have left many parts of the state. There's a lot of concentration in Metro Atlanta. What communities I hear often are young people graduate from high school, there's nothing to keep them here. They run to Atlanta, they don't come back. Communities are not regenerating. A lot of our communities don't even have access to internet and broadband service. That's very real. They say that when they find out about programs, if I'm talking to our farmers, for example, in South Georgia, they're saying by the time we find out about the program's been closed or the money has run out. And the issues are the same, but the starting point in addressing them is different. Everybody wants great schools. They want great health care. They want great jobs. They want safe communities. But the starting point and how we address those issues is the difference.
It sounds like you've been in rural Georgia campaigning.
Yes, people, I stay out of Atlanta. In fact, we will be leaving at 6 o'clock Wednesday morning, headed to South Georgia. We're going to Jessup and Brunswick and Savannah, and it won't be the first time. This is like another stop. So it's always interesting to me when people very politely tell me, girl, you got to get out of Atlanta. I'm like, I sleep in Atlanta. We campaign a lot outside of Atlanta.
I think it's important, y'all, as a community, that we when we see that, we've got to engage it, right? Half the time when I'm looking for you, you're not here.
No, I'm not.
And
you got to remember, when we are in other places, you're not going to see it on TV here. These are separate TV markets. So if I'm in Macon, you're not going to see it here. But yes, we stay on the road quite a bit.
We got a question that came in that is talking about large-scale events that are happening in the city, but really impact the state, right? Yeah. So we just finished the World Cup. We've got a Super Bowl that's coming in 28. How are you thinking about how more people, and specifically like small businesses, how are more people able to benefit from these large-scale events that are coming to the state?
There has to be meaningful opportunities for people to engage, not just for show, but meaningful opportunities. And whether those are created through our partner organizations, whether they are created through the state or through the city, just opportunities for engagement, for everything from transportation to who gets to sell the t-shirts. And what's really disappointing to me, you think about us being the cradle of the civil rights movement in America and all of the progress that Maynard Jackson made on behalf of minority businesses. When you think of the opportunities that women and minorities have to participate in the state of Georgia, those numbers are dismal. They are single-digit numbers. So part of our success as a city has been coordinating with our private partners, negotiating with our private partners, making sure that everybody has an opportunity to compete and have a seat at the table.
Anecdotally, we've been in business 10 years here. We've never done business with the state.
It's not surprising me.
On any level, right?
Not surprising.
For something small or large. I don't think I'm alone in that.
Someone said, met with some small business owners this week. They said to compete for contracts with the Department of Transportation, for example, you have to be pre-qualified. And guess what it takes to be pre-qualified? You had to have done business with them before. So does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. So there are barriers that these hurdles that are impossible to cross to have a meaningful opportunity to compete.
I want to talk about something else that doesn't make much sense. And you've talked about this a lot. Governor Kemp and just Republicans in general's relationship to our vote, / them not wanting us to have it in many ways, right? There's been very clear attempts to try to stop folks from accessing the ballot box. Doesn't make much sense. What do you wish folks understood about what those attempts what they've been successful in accomplishing, and what needs to be reversed?
Yeah, Audre Lorde said revolution's not a one-time event. And that covers a multitude of things. So this gradual erosion of access to the ballot, whether it is reducing the days that you can early vote, whether it's taking up drop boxes, whether it is saying you can't give out water in line, whether it is accidentally turning off motor voter registration for a year and a half in this state. It is happening step by step, bit by bit, and then one day you'll wake up and your access will be completely diminished. Add on top of that, Donald Trump has now dispatched 260 FBI agents into Fulton County. So what I say to people is, it's great when you go in and vote, vote for me. When I followed my son and his friends to vote because I wanted to see them walk into the precinct, and they came right back out in 2 minutes, I said, did you vote all the way down the ballot? And he said, I voted for you, but you got to vote all the way down the ballot. And he's going to be mad at me when we leave here. Why you keep talking about me in this room? Look at how he's cutting his eyes at me. Look at him. Right, Adam? Yeah, Adam said, right, yes, ma'am. Reminding people, even in your own household, because part of it is education, that every single race on that ballot matters. It's an opportunity for us to flip the House, the Senate, to elect the Secretary of State, to elect an Attorney General, to elect Senator Ossoff, to vote for me. And then we'll have a real opportunity to be able to right some of the wrongs that have come out of this Republican-led state for the last 30 years.
A couple more issues, and then I want to talk tactically about, again, what folks can do. Another important topic, this is another question that came in. We've actually had a couple on this. Georgia's AI and data center growth is explosive right now. There's a lot of interest in building data centers in the state. How are you thinking about that issue? How do we work to close the digital divide, but also make sure that communities benefit from all of the growth that we're seeing folks be interested in?
Yeah, this issue is a complicated issue, and what I've said is that I want a pause on data centers for us to completely assess and separate fact from fiction. There's a lot of information. When people say their utility bills have gone up, I believe them, but my utility bills were high before data centers became a topic of conversation. And that's a whole different conversation on utility bills on the south and west side of this city, and how we are carrying, in many ways, the energy burden of Atlanta. So, but I believe people when they say that. I want us to pause, sit in a room with all the stakeholders, whether it be our energy providers, whether it be the private sector, our community activists, environmentalists, and let's figure out what's real and what's not, and how do we go from there. There are some counties, I can tell you when I move around this state, that these data centers are an economic boom for those counties. So when you go into Columbus, Georgia is looking at $78 million, I believe, per year in property tax revenue. I was in another rural part of the state, and a commissioner said, hold on, like, we need this in our community because they don't have the economic backbone to help sustain these communities. So it is a very complicated issue. A lot of these data centers are built with union jobs. I just want us to know what's real, what's not, and make sure that we are being responsible as a state, and that no community is carrying the energy burden, and that it's not taxing our environment.
Another community issue. President Trump has focused on Georgia pretty extensively when it comes to ICE agents and raids. And so a question that came in is, can you speak to how you will protect Georgia residents from Trump's ICE agents?
Yeah, when I was mayor of Atlanta, I closed our city jail to ICE. I ended a multi-year contract, a multi-million-dollar contract with ICE, because nobody could assure us that we wouldn't be complicit in the family separation policy. And after we did it, a lot of states and cities followed suit. So I'm not afraid to do something unconventional when it comes to ICE. We've seen cities push back, like Social Circle, push back. A lot of it rests with local community zoning laws, et cetera. I've looked at Illinois and New Mexico, who've done some things related just to ICE detention facilities. It's the federal government, so it's not as easy as one might think. in order to push back, but there are things that you can do to make it more difficult for them to have a foothold in our state.
Question that came in is that if elected, would you commit to running 2 terms for governor?
Yes.
Asked and answered. In conclusion here, right, the last kind of couple things I want to talk to you about, again, is just like what we need to do. And this is, I'm going to take a version of a question that came.
Let's win this first term, y'all.
Amen.
Let's win this one.
And so that ties to the question that came in. It's like you've mentioned part of this conversation is how we win. Can you expand on how that worked? Like, how do the numbers work? How is winning possible?
Let me tell you all how close we came in 2018. 21 votes per precinct. Y'all hear that? 21 votes per precinct made the difference in the 2018 governor's race. It was close. We can't have thin margins this year. We can't have 11,000 votes separating us. We've got to win with record numbers. It is going to mean turnout is key. Turnout is key. Turnout is key. When I won the Atlanta mayor's race, Ryan, you remember I won that race by around 800 votes. We were 7 points down in the polls, but we were still knocking on doors. I was standing out at Piccadilly in the rain at 7:45, still asking people to vote on election night. That's the kind of work we're gonna have to do here. This state, we've sent 2 Democrats to the Senate, so we know that it's possible. The governor's office just hasn't flipped yet.
Yeah.
We elected 2 statewide public service commissioners last year. One was an African-American woman, so we can put to bed the narrative that a black woman can't win in Georgia statewide because she just won last year. And then, Ryan, the great thing, my name ID across the state is somewhere between 85% and 90%, depending on the poll. I don't have to introduce myself to people, I just have to earn their votes. So that means that I'm gonna stay on the road. We're gonna have teams out knocking on doors. We got people calling on telephones. We're gonna mail. You're gonna see us on YouTube. You're gonna see us on TV. We're gonna do all the things and making sure that we just continue to focus on the issues that the people care about.
Can I tell you one thing I've been doing? I talk about politics all the time. And it is surprising to me how many folks, like, there's a suggestion that, like, we may not get it done, and they can't point to why, right? But it's just, you know, I'm a tortured Falcons fan. Like, I know what it's like to, you know, think you're gonna do something that doesn't happen.
We're gonna win the Super Bowl once
before I was there.
Before I leave this earth.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna happen. But see, I think that's what's important, y'all. We have to start talking about this race like we are going to win, right? Like it's just work on the other side of it, but we're not scared of a little work, right? And so if you hear someone starting all that, even online, all that. Is it gonna happen? That's just not this moment, right? It's just not. We're gonna win this thing. Look at this, y'all. This is a Monday. Yeah. A Monday evening.
But someone told me yesterday they saw my mother in the airport, and everybody my mother talks to, she asks, "Are you registered to vote?" And then she says, "Well, my daughter's running for governor." And it seemed simple, but the person who was telling me this story said, your mother had this conversation with my husband, and then for the rest of the day as we traveled, he kept asking people were they registered to vote. So again, it can be as simple as that. Are you registered to vote? Please show up and vote. Hey, let me help you check your voter registration. You just go, anybody whose birthday, if you know their birthday, and their address, you can make sure that I hope that's legal, but I mean, I did it in my household, with everyone's permission in my household. I checked their voter registration status.
Sure. Like voted is public information. I do it all the time, right? In conclusion here, a lot of times this question is framed around what do you hope to accomplish in the first 100 days? But just generally, as governor of this state, what can folks look forward to?
I want our lives to be better in a meaningful way. I want people to be able to afford to live in dignity. I want small businesses to be able to succeed. I want people to have access to health care. I don't want them to have to go to the emergency room as a primary doctor's visit. I want our young people to have access to great education. I think for me, it is so very personal because I think about what I want for my children and what I want for my family and the state that I want them to be able to raise their children in. And it's not too much to ask. We want communities that are thriving across this state. This state is always top 5 in doing business. There's some things that we do really well, and then there are things that we don't do really well. State of Mississippi used to be 49 with literacy for their kids below 4th grade. They are now number 9. With all of the challenges and economic disparities that exist in Mississippi, if that can happen in Mississippi, think of the resources that we have in this state. Imagine what's possible here.
We appreciate you. We are behind you here. We are, amen. I grew up in the church, so call on us consistently to make sure that we do everything possible. Y'all, we have to leave it all on the field. No regrets come in November. There's only going to be celebrations.
And I just want to say this, Ryan, I am not a perfect person. My husband will tell you that. He didn't like my tone just before we came out here, so he'll tell you I'm not a perfect person. I am not a perfect candidate, but I can tell you my heart is always in the right place. And when my heart is in the right place, that means my will is always in the right place. And my will is for us to win. And when I say us, I mean all of us, because this election is so much bigger than one person. This election is bigger than one moment. The decisions we make this November at the ballot box are going to impact us for generations not yet born. So I thank you all for whatever that support may be that you are able to give. I thank you for your prayers, and I thank you for just believing that this state is still worth fighting for. So thank you, Ryan and TK.
I appreciate it. I grew up in the church, so there's always one more. There's a bonus. I got 2 quick things. This is not on our agenda, but it is something that I cannot leave this room without saying. If you have the ability to contribute to this effort, we need you to do it.
Yeah.
It adds up, but we need you to do it.
There's also an initiative, and I hope I get it right, the website menforkeisha.com. I hope that's the right website. What? No, not that one, Malik. It's another website we got. But KeishaForGovernor.com. But we're asking 1 million men to give $100. And for some men, it may mean that it's a little less. For some men, it's a little more. But if we all dig in whatever way that we can, we'll be able to we'll be able to do every single thing that we need to do to win in November.
Renz, get your camera ready. If you can pledge to be a part of that effort, men or women, but men, raise your hand. Okay, we're on our way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
We're on our way. menforkeisha.com.
And I don't want the women to be left out. KeishaForGovernor.com for the women. But if you want to give on behalf of a man in your life, feel free to do that too.
My last thing is, if you are comfortable with doing this, if you're not, please move to my left, your right. But we're gonna take a group picture, right? And the reason why I want to take this picture, there's been a lot of conversations recently about candidates and pictures. But I think it's important for our community to see, right, that our community is a part of, this isn't a picture with me, right? It's a picture with us. So if you are comfortable being in that picture with us, the photographers are gonna join us here. We're gonna take it, just stay where you are, you don't have to go anywhere. And we're going to show everyone that we collectively are in this thing as a community. We're going to get this victory. That's our last stop. I appreciate y'all. Don't move anywhere. Just stand up in just 1 second. All photographers, but certainly our hybrids, you might have to direct us a little bit, brother. I don't know. If we stand here, does that work? We have to come down a little bit? If we stand here, does that work? Did they need to stand up? Okay. Are you sure? Okay. This way? Can they stand up? They gotta know. Yeah, okay, everybody stand up. It's all right. I like that. There we go. Okay.
Trust me, take one step backward.
No, we got good insurance, friends.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. All right. Everybody good? Everybody, big smiles? You good?
Okay, so this is the first one. Now look up right here. First one, 3, 2. Beautiful. Okay. Hold it.
Okay, that was one. Oh, where's my hold on, my scarf. Hold on.
You got to flick it too.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get my scarf. She made it right there. We're gonna talk. This is an exclusive. Y'all can't. Nah, I'm just playing. It's gonna be. Y'all gonna be fine.
Wait, get my face
Oh yeah,
right.
there we go. Okay, we definitely ready to go. Okay. We need a rowdy Keisha for governor with medium rowdy. Okay, on 3. 3, 2, 1. Keisha for governor. We appreciate y'all. Meet somebody that you don't know and stay engaged in this election. We'll see you soon.